Again, thank you so much, teachers, educators, and also practitioners in education. I'm Fajar, and I'm from Indonesia. And here I'm with Robert.
Hi, everyone. I'm based in the north of Spain.
Yeah. So I'm an English teacher, like most of you, I believe. I'm also an educational technology practitioner. I create digital lessons. I also give consultation for language schools, mostly about their curriculum and lessons. So we're going to have two different presentations on the same goal. Today we are focusing on CPD. So please let us know what you think CPD is, or even if you want to share your way of having your CPD in the chat. Like, what do you think is CPD, and what do you do for your CPD? Okay, so I think while waiting for your answers, I'll start sharing my screen and start with my presentation. For my presentation, I'm not bringing presentation slides, but I'm sharing sources or references that you will also be able to access later on. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Oh, okay. I think math teachers also have CPD. Like teachers have CPD for some good sessions with experts of my field. Okay. So CPD stands for Continuous Professional Development. Simply, it's a way to keep ourselves learning so that we are relevant and then stay interested in our field, whether you teach English, whether you teach maths, for example, or other things. However, to what I'm sharing in this session is for English teachers, as I am an English teacher. But I hope that for those who don't teach English, will also find something similar in your own area of subject. So I'm starting with Teaching English British Council. So this is one of my favorites CPD resources, and it's completely free. So tell me if you are familiar with Teaching English website, especially if you teach English, of course. Yes or no, or what have you explored with teaching English? Psychology, follow CPD framework. Yes, we do. Yeah, we have a lot of CPD frameworks for different um, subjects and then expertise. And also in English language teaching, we have various frameworks for our CPD. Okay, Cambridge British Council, Twingle, awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. So I will start with Teaching English website. So Teaching English website is a website by the British Council. So it's a part of the British Council. And in this website, you can find resources. I can say almost everything that you need as an English teacher. Okay, you can find teaching resources such as lesson plans, activities, teaching tools, and books and resource packs for teaching that you can use in your classroom. Okay, but we're not going to focus on this one. We're going to focus on professional development. So Teaching English British Council website has this comprehensive collection on uh, to keep up with your professional development, okay, to assist you with your CPD. They have training courses for both teachers and teacher educators. So if you are a teacher educator, as example, you are a director of studies, you're an academic manager, you can also find a lot of useful information from this website. Okay, so let's start with the teachers page. So in the teachers page from Teaching English, you can find first, you can find webinars, a lot of them. Like even for this one, it's in this month, 21 August. Okay, you can also find conferences framework, like one of our friend mentioned here in psychology. Yeah, they also have framework. So for those who are looking for ways, strategies, mapped, especially English teachers, to keep up with their CPD, you can very much search it here. So here we have CPD framework for teachers. They have professional development toolkit and then other things. And they're very, very updated. Okay, so every month, every week, if you follow their social media, Facebook especially and Instagram, okay, you will see them updating professional development opportunities. Okay. Now, we're going to narrow it down to two things: webinars and training courses. Okay. Before that, we'll see pathways. So again, if you are really looking for a strategy or a map on how you want to be updated or maintained in your teaching English field, you can go with pathways. Okay. For example, here we have pathways, planning lessons, and courses. So when you choose one pathway, so it won't only come with one source or resource. It is a collection of sources from Teaching English British Council. So it can have a video, it can have an article, publication, podcast, webinars, and workbook, and even lesson plans that you can use relevant to this area. Okay, so just like its name, the name represents itself. It's a pathway on a topic, okay, that you can follow. If you think that, oh, I think I want to refresh myself on teaching listening, so you can choose pathways teaching listening, and then you can find relevant sources by teaching English on how to refresh yourself, or even, I believe, add more references on teaching listening. Okay, articles, webinars, it can be recorded webinars or even the upcoming webinars, and then another article and lesson plans. Okay, and some of the time they can also come with courses. So let's move on. So I'm not really I'm not really determined to follow one path. I would like to see options in webinars. Like I would like to join a webinar. It doesn't have to be on a particular topic, but I would like to see available webinars. You can go with webinars section. In the webinar section, you can find upcoming webinars and the past webinars. For example, here we have one in 21 August, so it's the closest, creating learner-centered language classroom, and then you click it, and then you can find information on the webinar, register, and then join it on the day. Using Zoom, you can see we can say the summary of the webinar, the speakers, the schedule, and even a way to get your certificate if you need a certificate. And sometimes they also come with handouts, okay, before the webinar or to use during the webinar. It will also explain that which pathway is this webinar. In our second event, a webinar series on knowing the subject. So it means that this webinar is part of this pathway. Okay, so you can either find yourself searching for a pathway or choosing a webinar freely, and then you will see which pathway it is. Okay, and I would like to see past webinars. You can also like scroll down, and then you can find webinars that has happened. Okay, or you can also search for their YouTube channel, but this is easier to browse. So that is for webinars. How about courses? I'm sorry. They also have free training courses, which are open, like anybody can take these courses. Okay, and yes, thank you, Sasa. We have to follow Bloom's taxonomy, support incorporate it in CPD framework. So, to what I believe, as a teacher, as educators, we want to set an example for our learners, because, well, we always expect our learners to keep learning. We give them homework, we give them books to read. Sometimes they say we give them videos to watch. So we want to set an example to let our students know that we also keep learning. It's not that we only tell them to learn, but we also learn ourselves. And there can be different ways of CPD, but this is just one way that you can, one of the many ways that you can try. So for the training courses, you can see the schedule. As example, this one starts in 1 July and ends 30 September. These are self-paced courses. So you can like take it anytime when it's open and then finish it on your own time. Okay, so there will be no live instructors or no live classes, but you can join live Facebook session. on the course. So as example, if you choose this one, or this is a new course, I recently completed it and I love it. It really refreshed my insights on communicative and task-based language teaching. Okay, so there will be a tutorial on how you can enroll on the course. You see, it's a free course. It comes with workbook. Okay, it comes with a Facebook community. So when you click Facebook community, it will direct you to a Facebook group. And in this Facebook group, there will be posts by the Teaching English page on the courses, discussion posts, and also Facebook live sessions. So you can engage with the instructors of the course. And it's free, and it comes with a certificate when you finish it. But as you know, it's not the main goal, but it's good to have an appreciation for ourselves that we learn something continuously. Now I'm going to show you how it works when you have an account. So what you need is just to create an account for free. Okay, so as example here, I have my own account. Yes, we are modeling learning for them. Okay, so here we have my courses. So when you are new to this website, you don't have an account, you can create a free account. Okay, you only need your email and you create password. You can click my courses and then it will direct you to the platform, or we call it the LMS, the learning management system. So in the learning management system, you will see all the courses available and then the courses that you are enrolled in. Okay, and yeah, like this. So it's very easy to follow. So basically, just create an account, log into the My Courses page, and then you can find available courses. And then you can click Enroll in Activity to register for the course. And then it will be in your My Courses page. And then you can start learning. Okay, it's self-paced. You can finish it in a week if you want to, if you have more time. For example, you are on your school break and then you want to keep refreshed on teaching insights. You can click start course and then you will see all the modules. You can also download your workbook. So workbook is like your reflective journal for the course, like the offline access to the course. And even at the end, you can get the resources, free resources that is this explained in the course. So they come with glossaries, lesson plans, articles related to the course, and these are all free. And then at the end, you can also find your certificates in your account. Okay. Well, I've been doing these courses since 2021, so I have done, I can say, all of them because they are a great way to keep up with, again, your CPD. However, I would like to remind you that this is a CPD course, so this is not a qualification. So let's say when you finish a course, this is not a qualified certificate or a degree or a diploma, but this is just a proof of learning. Okay, so all these courses, they are CPD courses. So for example, they have something basic such as teaching English, how to teach grammar. So even though it says like how to teach grammar, but the course does not start from zero. Like you will still need a teaching background in order to start this course because this is a CPD course, not an initial teacher training. Okay, so this certificate can serve as a proof of your CPD effort, but not a formal qualification. Okay, so that's teaching English. Well, it's only one, but I believe that there have been a lot that you can really benefit from. Yeah. Yes, we will send it in the WhatsApp channel. Okay. And we will also send a follow-up email after the session. So that is teaching English. Now, teaching English from the British Council, and as we know, British Council is in the UK. Now we're going to fly to the counterpart of the English, to the other side of the English world, which is the United States of America. So while the UK, the British Council has teaching English, in the United States, we have American English. So American English is, by the way, the name of the platform. And American English has Open. So Open stands for Online Professional English Networks. Similar to teaching English, you have You can find free webinars to join. Okay, and sometimes they are similar to each other, but from a different perspective of teaching English. So as example, this is the current webinar. So the next one will be in August 9. Okay, and then you can sign up. So there is the how to participate. Okay, how to join, earn your badge. You will also get a certificate for attending the webinars. Not only webinars, they also have courses. So they have massive open online courses, and these are again free online courses that you can join to refresh your insight or learn new strategies, references in teaching English. You can see the MOOC calendar because even though they are free and open, sometimes they are not always open. Like they have batches, like they have periods of opening. As example, here they have courses for English language learners and professionals. So for those who teach English for specific purposes. Yeah, for example, like me, I teach English for business, and then I teach English for professionals. I teach English for engineers. You can really use these courses as references. Okay, and even you can invite your student to join these courses, and they are free, and your students can also get a certificate for completing these courses. And of course, the MOOCs for English language teachers. Okay, we have teaching English academic writing, creating, implementing online courses. But you see, some courses are open, like you can click enroll now, which you can register. But some courses are not open for enrollment, which means like you will have to wait for its period to open. But they will open every year, at least once a year for 3 months. Okay, so they have here teaching English to large classes, English language teaching methods. But again, everything here is a CPD course. So you will need a teaching background in order to catch up with the materials. And again, they are not formal qualifications or diplomas. They are to keep up with your CPD learning. Okay, that's from the US. And then we have two more that I would like to share. This is from International House London. So the name is Teacher Portal. Again, it's free. Everything that we share here is free. And they also have courses, they have webinars, but what's more interesting is that they have live lesson planning session. So as example here, this one is on September to September. So you can join like a lesson planning uh, live session with teachers and also with an International House London instructor. So you can learn how to lesson plan together with the other teachers in this portal. Okay, and especially for teachers who are looking for a consultation, they also provide free one-on-one consultation with the IH London instructor. And again, it's free. Like you can schedule, as example, oh, I'm planning to upgrade my qualification, and then I would like to speak with someone who knows about qualifications in teaching, like further qualifications in teaching, whether you want to take your master's, you want to take like a diploma in specialization in education, especially English language teaching. You can book a free consultation with the instructor from IH London. And again, it's free. You will have like 10 minutes conversation, and well, I did it once and I love it. It was like a nice conversation, and it's not that they are selling you products. No, it's simply speaking to fellow teachers, supporting teachers. Okay. And the last one, but not least, I would share about Ed Community. Again, they come with free courses that you can take for free online, self-paced, but they also have a community. So again, this is a free community where you can share with other fellow teachers, sharing resources, sharing references or events, and so on and so on. So that's from my side. So those are references, sources that you can find for your CPD. And then we're going to move to Robert, where Robert will tell you how we can maximize or benefit these CPD references. Robert,
Okay, thank
your
you.
turn.
Let me start my timer so that I don't overrun. So let me share my screen and where is it? Screens, here we go. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna, let me move this out of the way. So we're gonna look at Supercharge Your CPD with AI, and I would like to share with you like an AI for CPD toolkit that I've been working on. Hopefully you will be able to take all of those ideas that Fajar shared with us and some of those resources, and then be able to use them while applying the toolkit. And I'll share with you also a document with what I'm covering here today. So let me see the chat. Okay, let me close the chat. So the agenda for these 20 minutes, we're going to look at the room temperature, a warmer. We're going to look at our learning outcomes for this short session. Then we're going to look at a mindset for professional growth. Very important to understand how to approach all those wonderful resources available there. The AI CPD cycle, and see how AI can help us by using it accurately, not to depend on it, but to help us have that cycle and provide support. Remember, something that I always say in all the sessions that I give is AI supports learning, but we teachers inspire it. We are at the driver's seat, in the driver's seat. So we're going to look at 3 practical AI CPD workflows. If you wanted more, in the feedback form that Fajar is going to share with you, make sure that you say whether you would like to explore more, because I've created 12 different workflows, but in these 20 minutes, we're going to look just at 3. Then I'm going to share very briefly my CARES framework for CPD, then hopefully takeaways and Q&A. It's going to be a little bit tight for 20 minutes, but it should be okay. So room temperature, how are you feeling about this session? In the chat box, very quickly, how are you feeling? What are you feeling? Excited, bored, energized, curious? Using maybe 1 or 2 adjectives in the chat box. Let's see, and I'll keep my chat box open here so that I can see what you guys are saying. How are you feeling about this session so far with what Fajar shared, and then this second part? Okay, Febriano, Dwi, thank you. Mastin, Marwa, fantastic. One thing you want to learn in this second part, in this 20 minutes, what's one thing you'd like to learn about supercharging your CPD? What would that be? Memuna, sleepy but happy to learn. Great. So what's one thing that you would like to learn in this session? We already looked at lots of resources. In this second half, any ideas? What would you like? What would you like to learn? Let's see, before I move on. Okay. You can share in the chat box in the meantime. And then I'm just going to move on now. Okay, and I'll keep it open. Okay, so part of the warmer. So let's see where you are at with your CPD. Memuna, wonderful. Good, how to do future proofing. Excellent. So let's see where you are at with your CPD. Here are 3 CPD questions for you. I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to share with you the link to my direct poll with the questions. Let's see. Here we are. In the chat box, I'm putting the link, and you can see the questions. Let's see. I'm going to refresh. There you go. And you can vote. I'm going to show you the results live. So let me just share here. Let's see. Okay, 2 people say, I learn when opportunities come up. Let's see, what about the others? 3, good. How do you usually plan your professional learning? That's great. Okay, 4, 5, like most people, good. I learn when opportunities come up. That's wonderful. Okay, good. Wonderful. So 5 people whenever the opportunities come up. I have a clear plan. I only do CPD when it's required. I don't really have a system. Okay, good. 6 people. Good. Okay, so now I'm going to share, let's see, the second question. Okay, second question. Let's see. What's your biggest challenge with CPD? Finding the time, choosing what to learn, applying what I learned, staying motivated. Let me check the chat box. Okay, good. I'll close it for now. Staying motivated, yes. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult with so many things to do. So I guess they're correlated. So finding the time and staying motivated, good. So we have 5. Excellent. What about the others? So 5 people out of 15, 6 people choosing what to learn. True, sometimes with so much on offer, it's a little bit difficult to actually find the one thing that you want to do. Fantastic, thank you so much. Then question 3, have you ever used AI to support your own professional development? Almost always, sometimes, rarely, almost never. Okay, yes, like me, almost always. We'll see how. Sometimes, good. Rarely, okay, that's wonderful. We have a good show of ideas. The majority, sometimes. Okay, great. So those are our 3 questions. Let me just go back to our presentation. Can everyone see it? Great. So those were the 3 questions that give us an idea of where we are. So by the end of this short webinar, we will have reevaluated your mindset for professional growth. You will have considered the AI CPD cycle for your own context. I'm going to share it with you. And you will have explored 3 practical AI CPD workflows that I actually practice myself. So these are tried and tested. For me, they work. I understand that obviously things are different for all of us, but I hope that you may find them useful if you try them and that you can get something out of them. And you will see my AI for CPD cares framework. So very important for a mindset for professional growth. As Fajar said before, it's not about the certificates. The certificates are great because they show the process that we've gone through. But what really matters is the learning process, and therefore a mindset for professional growth. Instead of asking AI, plan my lesson, or I'm teaching this lesson, give me suggestions, then something better might be, help me improve my lesson. Very important to start with our own input, not with AI. Because remember that when we start with AI asking for things, that's what may easily make us cognitively lazy, because we are then cognitively offloading the thinking to AI. So it's a better idea to start always with, this is my lesson, these are the ideas, I have these stages, this my group of students are like this. Can you make suggestions on how I can improve it, and tell me why? I always ask AI to tell me why and to give me some supporting the evidence on learning theories and pedagogy, because that also helps me revise things. Instead of give me activities, then after having done the heavy lifting myself first by defining my learning outcomes, what I'm planning to do, and then saying, here's what I'm going to do. Please help me choose the best activity for my learners. Please tell me why you think it is the best activity. Now, careful, because remember, AI supports learning, but we teachers inspire it. So with these suggestions, the best activity and why, I sometimes go like, okay, well, thanks for the suggestion. I don't agree. I'm going to go with what I decided. But that suggestion gives me an idea to actually modify what I had in mind. I'm in the driver's seat. Instead of saying, mark this, then I can start with your idea of the assessment, not just handing over the whole thinking part to AI. Better to analyze my students' work and identify patterns I should address. I've looked at it already, and I think these are the patterns. Please correct me or suggest improvements and tell me why. That's how I start seeing gaps that I go like, oh, that's right, I missed that one. That's an opportunity for learning for myself. The teacher remains the professional decision maker. Something really important from the 2nd of August, 2026, the EU AI Act makes it mandatory. You may not be in the EU, but you probably know that lots of organizations are referring to the EU AI Act. From the 2nd of August, it is mandatory that anything that is produced with AI is labeled as produced by AI and also has the name of the person. And this is for accountability, because AI can never transfer accountability. So very important in this last part, if you're using AI to help you with marking, to sanitize whatever you use in the AI. Remember, no PII, no personal identifiable information, no names, no dates of birth, nothing that can help identify the learner. So this is changing the mindset. Instead of asking, plan my lesson, give me activities, mark this, then starting with the heavy lifting to prevent becoming lazy and prevent cognitive offloading. I'm doing all the heavy lifting, and I'm using AI to support me, to give me ideas, to find the gaps in my thinking, and to provide me with theories. And this is the part that I find exciting, because it keeps me on my toes. I'm not just receiving things. I'm the one who starts the process. Right. Then remember, the best AI prompts don't replace professional thinking. They deepen it, because we start with the thinking, not AI. So AI supports learning, but we teachers inspire it. Don't forget that. If you find yourself always asking for, careful, stop, take a step back, open a Word document or a text processor, and then write your ideas there. And then ask the questions, prepare the questions you want AI to ask, so that you are not becoming lazy by just asking for output. Right, so let's look at the AI CPD cycle that I've been working on. So here we start with, the first one would be teach. Obviously, before the teaching, there's the learning outcomes. I always say in all the webinars and all the presentations and all the training that I do, that we need to start with pedagogy first. We need to start with the learning outcomes and with the students. So what is it that I want to cover? Does the course book or the materials are really help me meet my aims? Is the content and the lesson the learning outcomes relevant? Are they relevant for my students? I know the students. Remember that one of the important things about using AI is that we know what AI doesn't. We know the context, we know the students, we know what they are missing. We know that some are weak, some are strong. We know exactly what it is. So that's how we are in the driver's seat. We can take lots of support, but then we plan it, we teach it. What do you think is the next one in the chat box? Let me open the chat box. Thank you, Fajar, for sharing the EU AI Act. Absolutely, thank you. So which one do you think is the next one? We teach the lesson and then we in the chat box. Assess, reflect, excellent. Yes, we reflect about what happened. Unfortunately, I'm a teacher educator. I work on CELTA courses. I observe teachers outside CELTA courses. And one of the things that I've noticed consistently is that maybe because our timetables are so full, there's very little time left for reflection. And reflection is the best thing we can do, is key for growth, for professional growth. Understanding why, I remember, especially this year, I planned a lesson and it didn't go the way I expected. After the lesson, I felt actually bad because I was like, oh, why didn't it work? I was so excited about the lesson. I was thinking about the students and what they liked, and I tried to provide a little bit of everything, and it didn't work. So that reflection, making those quick notes, are really useful to then follow the next step. So we reflect, we analyze what is it that didn't go well, why didn't it work? Was it the interaction patterns? Was it what I was doing with them? So that we can then learn from that experience and then we can experiment again and see if what we identified was really the cause of that activity that didn't work. Then we go to evaluate. We experimented, we do it again, we evaluate and see, okay, it worked better this time. This year I had 2 groups that were the same level, and they were absolutely fantastic because I was able to experiment with the second group, whatever didn't happen well with the first group. So that was a great opportunity for learning. And then share, very important. That's why Fajar and I are here today, because we want to share with you what we are learning in the classroom through our professional development. That is the AI CPD cycle. Remember, AI supports learning, but we teachers inspire it. We are in the driver's seat. Now, moving on, I want to share with you 3 practical AI CPD workflows. And the first one is, let me close this, the daily lesson reflection. And I think that there is reflection, the first one, because as I said before, very often there's no time for reflection, and those are missed opportunities for learning, right? You can use a prompt like this. I'm going to share a document with you at the end, so don't worry, that says, act as, where I ask, you can ask your AI tool of preference. There isn't one specific one that you must use. Act as an experienced teacher, educator, and instructional coach. Help me reflect on today's lesson. Ask me one question at a time before giving suggestions. Focus on student learning, engagement, classroom management, assessment, and my own teaching decisions. Help me identify one strength, one area for improvement, and one action for my next lesson. Here's a summary of the lesson I taught today. I use this prompt quite often, not as often as I would like to. It takes me having this conversation, this iteration with AI. I've been using Gemini because I have a paid account, and I created a gem to help me reflect. And it takes me between 30 minutes and 1 hour. Some of you may be saying, oh, no, that's a lot of time. That's not possible. I don't have that time. But it all depends on you and what you want to get out of it. I've used it especially after those lessons where I felt like there were things that I wasn't happy about, maybe on student learning or engagement or classroom management or assessment. Obviously here, you can only focus on one thing. It could be student learning, not necessarily all of them. Okay, so really important. And I'm going to share with you in a minute the Robert Cares framework. The second workflow is Classroom Challenge Solver. So, for example, in the prompt, describe your learners, their age, their level, the lesson, the challenge that you have, and then ask AI to identify possible causes, ask clarifying questions, suggest several evidence-informed strategies, and explain why each strategy might work. I use this prompt more often than the first one. The first one, when I feel like something didn't go as planned. This one, when I'm more often when I want to focus on one specific challenge, right? And it's also linked to the CARES framework. The third one is observation reflection. You will probably see this reflection thread. Reflection is essential for our learning, because if we don't reflect, we don't become aware of what's working or not working. If we're not aware, we cannot improve. Awareness is the first step in improvement, in changing things. Because if we're not aware, how are we going to change things if we think that everything is wonderful? So paste your observation notes. Then help me interpret this observation as a coach rather than an evaluator. Identify strengths, recurring themes, and priorities for professional growth. Suggest practical classroom actions I can implement over the next month. And then obviously you can say, I like this one, I want to focus on this one, give me more examples, I don't fully understand this. What I love about doing this with AI is that I don't feel judged, right? We might not be as happy to talk to another peer and say, well, you know, this, because we're human beings and we might feel like, oh no, they're going to think that I don't know what I'm doing. So to finish up, the CARES framework for me is cares. So connect, gather evidence before making assumptions, connect the dots. What is happening? Gather all the information about your reflection, about your note, what you see in the classroom from your lesson planning before making assumptions about what didn't work or didn't work. Analyze it so that you can identify patterns. Those patterns are the ones that make us understand things and go like, oh, this is happening all the time. That is the reason why. Reflect. So question your practice. Why does it happen? This activity worked well with the other group, but not with this group. They're very similar. Where is the problem? Evolve. How? By planning meaningful improvements. Okay, so this is what I'm going to change in my next lesson. And then share it, contribute to others' learning, as we are doing with Faja today and in these future-proofing the classroom and sharing with our peers. We're teachers and teacher educators as everyone else. Okay, so this is my alter ego, so my support assistant, and I use it as a support assistant. So that's the whole point about that. I've run out. It's 21 minutes. So if you have any questions, we're going to open the floor now for both Faja's and my presentation. I just want you to think about your takeaways and then share them in the chat box when you have a minute. Credits, very important that we model behavior. So all the icons that I use come from the Noun project. It's free as long as you give credit. I have an AI statement for transparency. So AI was used at ideation stage to brainstorm ideas, which were then checked, selected, discarded, and or edited to match our context and the writer's own experience. The reference for all the images that I have. And so I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you very much. And then we're going to open the mic.
Thank you so much, Robert. It's so comprehensive. I believe we need to rewatch it later when it's available. And yeah, so some teachers have asked about the prompt and also the guide. And again, we'll send it in our WhatsApp channel and also in the follow-up email. And if you are pleased, you can also fill in that feedback form. It's not a certificate of attendance form. We don't have certificate of attendance in this series. So it's a feedback form. It's anonymous. It's for you to let us know what you want us to discuss in our future sessions. So now, if you have any questions in the chat, or if you want to turn on your microphone, your video, you can raise your hand using the Zoom feature, and then we will unmute you.
That's right. An interesting presentation. Thank you. How do you stay motivated?
We have one from Dewey.
When implementing the CARES framework. For me, you know, a lot of people, if you have been following me on LinkedIn and my social media, I started last week a series of posts on how I do so much having a full-time job. And for me, something very important, this is my 32nd year in teaching and in teaching education. And for me, one of the most important things is to stay up to date, because I always think, how can I be a model? How can I ask my students, my learners, my teacher trainees to do something if I'm not doing it? That's why I also keep on teaching. You know, I'm also in management, and I've been told, no, you need to stay, you know, like only when necessary you teach. And I like being in the classroom, and I think that it is important for, especially for teacher educators, to keep a foot in the classroom, because that's how we connect and we see how things are going. A lot of people, you know, the last time they were in a classroom were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I mean, that's fine. They may have lots of experience, but if they have disconnected from the classroom, from the real experience, then I don't know. I have my concerns about that. I think that my motivation comes from thinking I really like what learning. I really see what the students are, how the students are struggling. I want to be part of that change. When applying the framework, very useful to have it, that slide or the acronym, to have it at hand to remind me of it. So for example, I have it on a post-it note, because whenever I'm doing something, I like to go through it myself, right? What it stands for, so it helps me not. It helps me apply it accordingly without skipping any steps. There are times when I don't want to do anything. There are times when I go like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I think today I really don't have the energy. And that's totally fine. Some people say, oh, I've heard some people saying that I make it look very easy. No, I also teach. I also have, I like a full-time job. So I understand that we are under pressure. And there are times when I don't really want to do anything. I just, maybe instead of watching TV, I find it relaxing reading an article, or maybe just jotting down some notes before I forget them when I have an idea. I hope that sort of gives you a bit of an answer, Dwi.
Amazing. Okay, so we have one from Nisa. What should we avoid when conducting a TPD? Well, this is a bit tricky. It looks simple. It sounds simple, like, okay, what to avoid, right? But I think it would sometimes vary to context and situation. In my case, in my experience, one thing that I've learned so far when conducting a TPD is, though it sounds obvious, but sometimes I just forget. I have to realize that these teachers, like, they're very busy. These teachers, they are here, that they have dedicated a portion of their valuable time, and so we don't want to expect that they want to do, yeah, they want to learn more, but we have to understand that their availability in terms of time, energy, mind, because even though as teachers we want to keep up with learning, it's not the only thing that we do. So what I've learned so far conducting a TPD or a session like this, try my best to make it a little bit casual, especially if it's a community-based TPD, especially if it's not a required or a part of their actual work or job in their school or department. We want to make it a little bit more flexible, not really strict, expecting them to dedicate all of their time and energy for the TPD. That's from my experience. Even though it sounds obvious, but sometimes I just forget, because sometimes as the person or as the organizer, because we use a lot of our time for this, we think that everyone will also do the same. That's from my side. How about you, Robert?
Yes, totally. I fully agree with what you're saying. And I would also add that from my point of view, there are two things to consider. The first one is, if you are delivering CPD within a context, as Fajar said, for example, within your school, because you're asked to coordinate it or to give a sessioner, always start from the teachers. What is it that the teachers need and want? Because sometimes one of the problems that I've seen over the years is that the sessions are given, but they're not 100% aligned with informed. They're not 100% informed by the teacher. So, that's if it is within a context. Make sure that you have asked the teachers, you have identified what they want, because if you identify that, then their interest is going to be there. Very often, schools or organizations give CPD and people don't attend, or they attend and they don't find it useful because nobody asks them, or because they don't find it relevant. Same thing in the classroom. We plan lessons, but if we don't take the students into consideration, then we are not able to align the content to what they need. So I would say number one is that if you are within a context. And the second consideration is with Fajar and I here, you guys have enormous backgrounds, different levels of experience, different levels of qualifications, different levels of interest. So it's very difficult for us, because we are trying to share what we do and what we know with a group of very diverse people. And the fact that you're here today is because you chose to be here and to see what's new for you, right? So I think that that requires a little bit more of a challenge, because we cannot overload people with information. As Faja said, We need to try and make it as casual as possible, allow for a conversation with you through questions, and just to share what we are doing rather than make it too theoretical or too academic, because this is just for peer learning, a community of learning, right?
Amazing. Thank you. I hope that answers the question, Nisa. But if you have more, please do. And for everyone, if you have questions that you want to share your ideas, even you can raise your hand and then you can unmute yourself. But you have to raise your hand first, so you have the access to unmute your microphone. Or in the chat, that's also fine. Okay, I think I do have one actually, and someone asked me the other day this question, and then I'm reminded. So with the abundance, a massive amount of references and resources, like one of your poll, it's difficult to find what to learn. It's not that there is nothing to learn, but there are so many things to learn, and so many references, so many platforms to learn from. In your case, Robert, how do you choose that is something for you to learn?
Oh, okay. Well, for me, what I tend to do is you share really useful resources. We know there's a lot out there, some of which is not, I mean, it's okay, but, as with everything, we need to be very careful not to waste time going through things that after you start, you go like, this is not really good quality, or it's really simple, or it's not. So very important to spend a little bit of time checking those trustable, reliable resources like British Council Teach English, the open website. There are universities, some open university. There are some things that are free, for example, on Coursera or on Future Learn. And having done many of those, those are like the main places. Number one. Number two, also keep an eye on our social media, Fajar's social media, my social media, because we also usually, if we find something that is not found anywhere else, we usually go and do it ourselves to see if it is good, and then we usually share it on our social media. And number three, it depends on what it is that you want to develop more on. So, for example, as a teacher educator, I find it very useful to, with the Teaching English, the British Council Teaching English free courses. I've also done many of those, and I've done them. Some people say, why do you waste your time doing that? You're a teacher educator. Because we never stop learning. In some of those courses, for example, the teaching grammar course, I did it. When I did it, I was like, okay, I know this, but it's good to see a different perspective. It's good to see a different way things are presented. It helps me revisit, so I'm not wasting my time. I'm revisiting and consolidating my own learning, because remember that how we learn, that repetition helps consolidate our learning. And so it depends on what you're focusing on. If you feel that you really need some extra help with grammar, well, go and look for grammar courses. For example, the ones there. Or if you feel you want to learn more about AI in education, then find something that is out there and it is free. There are quite a few things that are free that are very useful. Others that are not free, and if you're able to afford them, then why not? Whenever I can afford something, I go and do it. And if I can't, well, I just try and look for something free.
Yeah, true. I agree with what you said about revisiting, because so I think I heard this quote somewhere. I read this quote somewhere. Sometimes the biggest challenge in learning is feeling that is thinking that you know everything. Like when you think that you know everything, it sometimes hinders you from learning, right? So yeah, that's why so most of the time it's just like recycling our understanding of things, because just like Robert said, we sometimes want to challenge ourselves to see the other perspectives, right? So that way that we can see and reflect whether we have been doing it right. Because I know that here, for example, out there we have teachers with years of experience, Robert has more than 30 years of experience. I'm about to be in my first decade of my experience. But it doesn't mean that all these 10 years I've been doing it all correctly. I might have things that I needed to revise, and I will still need to revise. So we don't want to just rely on what we know, but challenge what we think about what we don't know, or if we actually know it. And we have Miraz and then Kamal. No, as mentioned in the form, there is no certificate of attendance for this series, but we have shared sources where you can get certificates, which are the free courses. Okay, so you can take those free courses, and then you will get proof of learning, which are certificate. But in this series, as mentioned in the form, there is no certificate of attendance. Okay, we have
and
one
just
from
to
Nisa. Yeah, Robert,
I was
what do you
just
think?
saying, I was just saying, asynchronous learning is great if you can have access to a learning management system, Moodle or Google Classroom or any other platform, because asynchronous learning, usually you need a repository where you can put either the materials or the tasks or the videos or the course in itself somewhere so that people can go and access it at any time asynchronously, so not at the same time. So if you have access to a platform, then I think, and you have a course that is designed or a program, then that would be a good way of allowing your peers or the people you want them to complete the asynchronous course or CPD sessions there. Most of the time, what I've seen on asynchronous learning is that if it is within a company or a school or an organization, when people complete that, they usually have to take either a test that then releases a certificate as proof of having completed it. Sometimes it's very informal and they have access without having to prove that they have done it. So there's lots of different options and possibilities there. I hope that gives you an idea, Nisa.
I would like to add a little bit. So yes, well, learning from Teaching English British Council. So Teaching English made their free courses as accessible as possible. So they decided to just create one simple LMS and use Facebook for the synchronous discussion, even asynchronous. So they don't have like live classes within their LMS like Zoom, but they have the live Facebook session, which are recorded, and then teachers can watch them anytime. So because I was also involved in reviewing the platform of the Teaching English courses. So that's how they decided in the very beginning. They would like to just use the things that teachers already use instead of creating a new platform, a new LMS for teachers to learn, but they just create one very simple LMS to do the courses, and for teachers to discuss, they create a Facebook group because, well, everyone can just use Facebook or even Instagram if you are not on Facebook. And I think, yeah, especially for teachers, and these days people are very busy. The reason why sometimes courses like CPD courses are asynchronous is that so people can do them in their own time while still having options to have like Facebook live sessions or Zoom sessions, but it's optional because the main courses or the main contents are on those platforms. Another idea is to run a camp. So I've learned this with my study with the US universities through the US department programs. So we have these MOOC camps. So simply you do an online course together with teachers. So as example, let's say you choose an online course from Teaching English, like maybe teaching speaking, how to teach speaking. And then you have a community of English teachers. So you enroll together to the course, you do the course asynchronously, but then you have like a weekly session discussing the online course together. And And a little bit of spoiler, I will run another MOOC camp in September, and I will, of course, share the announcement in our WhatsApp channel.
Good. Just one more question from
I think
Fabriano. He
last one.
says,
Yes.
yeah,
Robert, would you
when
like
it
to
comes
take this
to,
one?
that's right. It says, when it comes to teaching online, do we also need to prepare model lesson plans as in offline classes such as PPP, ESA, TBL, or other lesson plans? I would say that, as I say in all my teacher education courses, we should always try and have, as a minimum, the clear, detailed learning outcomes for the lesson. I understand that if you have 5 lessons in a day, 5 days a week, it's impossible to have a full lesson for every lesson because there's not enough time, right? However, I would say that at least you're very detailed learning outcomes so that you know exactly what it is that you want to cover. A running commentary, and that running commentary and learning outcomes would include the stages of that framework. If it is PPP, presentation, practice, production, that would give you in one paragraph a very clear idea of what you want to cover in the lesson. I think that that's super important, whether it is online or offline. I think that that's definitely something. I hope that answers your question, Fabriano. And I just want to share in the chat box also, just I can see that you share the feedback to share ideas. Please give us your feedback. And I want to share just my YouTube channel there as well now, because I think we've run out of time now.
Make sure you subscribe to Robert's YouTube channel. They're amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, one last bit. So when I did my study with Georgetown University, I had a very nice instructor, very encouraging. Though it was not my initial teacher education, it was also it was a postgraduate qualification study, not a master's degree. But to what I learned during that course was, you want to create a lesson plan as if you were not going to teach that class. So imagine that you are in a situation that you have to hand in this lesson plan to a substitute so that they know what to do. So I would say, like Robert mentioned, learning outcomes, learning objectives can be the most essential part. For example, though let's say another teacher cannot or you don't have the materials for it, but you know what to what to achieve in that lesson. Okay, because with again a massive amounts, like abundance of resources, you can find it anywhere, but you need to have a clear objective by that lesson. So though let's say you don't have much time to have a clear detailed lesson plans for every classes that you have, and if it's possible to have at least learning objectives. So let's say if someone needs to cover for you, they know that, okay, this class needs to learn these things, and then they can make their own activities. They can come up with their own materials or find it online, but they know the objectives of that class in that lesson. So I think that's for now. Well, it's 8 minutes past, but it's okay for me, and I hope it's okay for you.
Yes.
So big thanks, many thanks, everyone, teachers and
Thank you,
educators
everyone.
joining us. And remember to subscribe to Robert's YouTube channel if you want to see the recording of this session, if you want to rewatch Robert's presentation or maybe my presentation, and follow our WhatsApp channel for the references and resources that we are sharing in this session. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Everyone.
See you in our next sessions, in our next episodes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.